The Champions League Final Four is here, and it is brilliant.
Less of the Champions League. It's Easter Sunday today, Theo. Happy Easter. I know as a child you used to love Easter eggs. Do you like eggs?
I do absolutely love it.
Like eggs?
And today, more importantly,
I've got you a little present.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
It's for you, Theo.
Well, that reference is...
You don't feel very excited by that.
No, Dad. It's
Theo,
Easter Sunday.
I went all the way to Tesco for that.
1 like equals 1 egg. That's all I can say.
There you go.
And thank you to 150,000 subscribers on the channel as well. So happy Easter. We're celebrating that.
Yeah, there you go.
Jesus was resurrected for one of the greatest Champions League Final Fours that anyone can win. Are you ready?
That is quite a link there. And what we got to say at first, there are 4 teams left. Of course, it's the semi-finals. Any 4 of these teams can win. Now, the quarter-finals, Theo, 30 goals in 8 matches. It's brilliant, isn't it?
It is amazing, and I genuinely are sat in a position where anyone can win. I wake up one day and I think, oh, actually Inter, or Lamine Yamal's Barcelona, or maybe PSG. We're going to predict it, we're going to break it down, we are going to give you our best tips for the first leg. Then we're going to do the second legs, and then we're going to bounce on with the final eventually. So stay tuned, stay subscribed to the Thogden 2 channel, we'll be the first to keep you posted. What match shall we begin with?
Well, it has to be Arsenal against Paris Saint-Germain, Theo. Arsenal, who absolutely battered Real Madrid in the quarterfinals against a team who narrowly beat Aston Villa, but it's fair to say neither of these teams have won this tournament.
Very interesting, Dad. It's April 29th, it's the Tuesday night game at the Emirates Stadium. Have you seen a match within this stadium bigger than this?
This is enormous, Theo. I know I've got a lot of friends who are Arsenal fans. They know that Arsenal are the favourites for this game, but anything can happen, can't it?
433, the biggest football Instagram page, did a probability, and they said that Arsenal have the highest chance of winning the Champions League now, which is more than 25%, and that obviously makes it average higher than the others. Arsenal haven't been here for a while. 2006 and 2009 were the last 2 Champions League semi-finals. That lack of history, it's not like Real Madrid or Barca, is it, Dad? That's going to affect them.
But that's ancient history. That's like talking about the ancient Greeks and the Romans there.
Yeah.
For me, it's all about 2025. Let's talk about that quarter-final. Real Madrid are the granddaddies of this tournament. They've won it 15 times. They lost 5-1 over 3 hours. Now, Arsenal, surely, in some ways, they should be favourites to go on and win this.
They didn't just win, they gave Real Madrid 5 big booms, and every single goal was excellent. From Declan in the first leg to Saka's chip that was saved and then he scored, and Martinelli with the breakaway. The problem is, within that 180 minutes, Thomas Partey in the second leg got a booking that means he's qualified to not play for the next round, and that will massively affect their midfield. And that's why Declan Rice reacted with so much anger when he made that challenge. Did he need to? That is the question, and we'll delve into that more. They haven't been here as much as PSG. Yeah. PSG, do you know how many times they played in Champions League semi-final?
It will be 4 or 5?
5.
Yeah.
And actually 4 since 2020.
Wow.
Showing the recent European dominance of a club like them and the focus that they have on European football, because the French league, I know we discussed this on the weekly ramble, it's not as much of a test. Winning the league, they've already done it. They've already had the party. Yeah. The real party is if they win the Champions League. That's what the Qatari owners came here for and brought all this talent. And with Luis Enrique, they've got their best ever shot at it. I think I would truly say that. Would you agree?
Well, I watched both legs, of course, against Aston Villa, and the first leg in Paris, I came away from that game saying PSG will win the Champions League. Then I watched the second leg at Villa Park, and I thought at times, defensively, PSG were rotten.
It's interesting.
So it was a tale of 2 games. Now, I'd look further at the Arsenal squad. I'm interested in what you think the 11 will be. A player you've not mentioned, and we don't mention him enough, Mikel Moreno. He got 2 assists. He was the man of the match in the second leg.
It's interesting, yeah.
Really, now, of course, he can play midfield, he can play up front. I mean, he got a brilliant assist today, didn't he?
Oh, against that flick, incredible.
Superb.
And it shows you the squad depth they have in the forward line when players like Trossard are banging them in too. And I don't think he'll start in a game like this, but to come off when needed the most. I can see Trossard coming on and scoring an important late goal. I don't know if it'll happen in this game, but they are missing Havertz, who scored the last time PSG played Arsenal. This year, remember, this match at the Emirates was 2-0 to Arsenal.
Yeah.
I was there. I made a video on this Thogden 2 channel. I titled it, Arsenal Smash PSG.
Yeah.
Now, the scoreline wasn't a smash, but the football was. Now, what has changed at PSG? They have got so much better. Bradley Barcola was very quiet in that match. They kept him really quiet, but since then, Desire Doué has become a regular, or Desiree Doué, if you want to be precise. I see the comments. Kvaratskhelia has signed for the club, and that's massively impacted their forward line. Ousmane Dembele's hit form. Vitinha and João Neves now have a better understanding. They work together much better than the last time Arsenal faced PSG. And defensively, Nuno Mendes and Hakimi have marked themselves as 2 of the best fullbacks in the game. William Pacho made a mistake against Villa where it came off him into the goal, but they won it eventually. Marquinhos is experienced as always, and Donnarumma is one of the best goalkeepers in the game. This will not be an easy match. If Arsenal win by any goal line, it's a massive victory for them.
It is, too. Now, you've named some brilliant plays. Now, Now, you look at PSG's record recently, and it has been superb. They've won the French league by an absolute country mile, but the only 2 defeats in 2025, this is interesting, Liverpool and Aston Villa. Now, I know they won over 3 hours, but the English teams are the only ones to beat them. And I think this first leg is absolutely key, because I think Arsenal, if they play to their potential, they can score 2 or 3 times. And what they've got to do here is think, we need to kill the game off in the first 90 minutes.
The problem is, Dad, what is their potential without Tomiyasu, Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, and Gabriel himself? And then no Partey due to suspension. And on top of that, that means they're going to have to rejiggle their midfield.
Yeah.
So the solidity of Partey, Odegaard, Rice is affected, especially the combination that I think is amazing. Rice and Partey understand each other brilliantly.
Yeah.
Rice cannot be as advanced without Partey. That's why he reacted so bad on the pitch. Therefore, what are you going to do? Jorginho, does he come in? Does he slot in? Is he as match fit? I don't know. Or do you put Mikel Moreno back in a more defensive, well, not defensive midfield, but further back from a number 9 as he's recently been playing? What do Arsenal do with that midfield?
Well,
That's the question. Or they do this, Dad. Zinchenko goes in, Lewis Skelly goes in the midfield. Because the way he played against Real Madrid, it was like a central midfield performance. That could be the answer for Arsenal to beat PSG.
Now, for me, Theo, the midfield, Rice. I know he likes to play further up. I know he's got a few goals recently. Defensive midfield, Declan Rice. And then I would have...
What? Dad, are you crazy?
Then I would have Odegaard and Marino in that 3. And then up front, Saka and Martinelli, who have been sensational. Saka just back from injury, by the way. Missed a few chances today.
So let me just change.
Martinelli and Trossard there. He got 2 goals today.
Amazing, yeah.
How can you drop a player if he's going to be getting a couple of goals again?
So for the big games, you'd play him.
I would.
He's trying to prove a point today, isn't he? I don't think there is a clear answer to how you beat the 11 PSG players that we have mentioned in their current form.
PSG conceded 4 goals to Aston Villa, okay? Arsenal conceded 1 goal to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the difference.
With a different 11.
Arsenal can come away from that first leg, and if they win 2-0, 3-1, 3-0, that's it. Because I watched that second half against Aston Villa for PSG. They could have conceded 4 or 5 goals. At times, they just lost it in the head against Aston Villa, who are a top 7 team.
I'll tell you what happens here, Dad. I'll tell you what happens. And people, they like to roast my ball knowledge, but on the main occasions, you guys know, I stick with my words and I speak facts. On Sky Sports, when they threw me on during the World Cup, I said that the best young player of the tournament would be Enzo Fernandez, and I got that bang on, and people laughed at me for that, and people on the show laughed at me for that. I also said the flop of the tournament would be Ronaldo, and I was right. I also said Argentina would win the World Cup. That was correct too. I will say this, for the Champions League semi-final between Arsenal and PSG, the only way I see Arsenal actually figuring out this way is actually dropping Lewis Skelly into that midfield. As an academy player, he was a central midfielder. Play him there, and he might be able to handle the pace on the press that PSG will come at you. Don't get me wrong, they will dominate this on possession. Arsenal will, 68%, they'll dominate possession. But when PSG come with pace on the counter-attack, with momentum, with Achraf Hakimi, the quickest right back in the world, Nuno Mendes, the fastest left back in the world, and waiting is Kvaratskhelia, Desiree Doué. You're cooked, man. This will be Arsenal 2, PSG 2, all to play for at Parc des Princes. And I want to reassure Arsenal fans, this is not me saying that Arsenal are going to lose over 2 legs. It's me saying that Arsenal will not be the same team without Thomas Partey, because Declan Rice won't be playing an advanced midfield role. That is my final words.
Wow, very big shout there from Theo. I'm going to go with the Gooners to win 2-1. I think possession's going to be about 55-45. Very hard one to call them.
We need to give them respect. I predicted 2-2. I can definitely see Saka causing issues. Hopefully he's okay after Leif Davis with a disgusting tackle. That was absolutely... It's not nice. It's not nice.
No point. That's just the loss of head, and you let yourself down and you let Ipswich down.
I do think Arsenal can win at Parc des Princes. And if they don't lose their heads, I think Arsenal could be in Munich. Dad, you've gone for 2-1. You're not changing that. Can we confirm that?
I'm not changing that. Come on, the Gooners.
What? You're supporting the Gooners? Why?
Because I'm English.
You know what? I'd like to see Arsenal in the final 2. Hit the like if you're an Arsenal fan, and then dislike if you're PSG, because they're all French, so they won't watch, right? And the other leg, Dad, I'll let you introduce it. This is your prime moment. You're a stadium announcer.
The other semi-final, Theo, is FC Barcelona against Inter Milan. It's the Spanish giants against the Italian giants. The 5 times winners against the 3 times winners. Now, Barcelona here are heavy favourites to win at home. Yesterday, I want to point this out, yesterday in the league, they beat Celta Vigo 4-3. So they obviously, at times, concede a lot of goals. This is wide open, isn't it?
It is a wide open game, but it's never wide open against Inter Milan. They like to make it as cagey and difficult as possible, don't they?
Yeah.
With their tight back 3 or back five, however you want to call it, with the wing backs. Simone Inzaghi, with his tactics, has brought Inter back to the top of the European competitions. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Barcelona have not been in a Champions League semi-final for a while. It actually has to go back to 2019, in the lost in the semi, and a final in 2015, which they won. Do you remember that?
I do think, but that's incredible, isn't it? Those stats, because FC Barcelona, you assume that almost every year they're going to be in the semi-final.
They had an era with Messi where they just made every Champions League final, semi-final, final. But then they had a new Messi in Lamine Yamal.
Yes.
And he is here to bring them back to the heights. But they are really having to face a difficult opponent, arguably the hardest opponent left in the competition. I still think this is anybody's game.
In the quarterfinals, Theo, it was over after the first leg, wasn't it? 4-0 against Borussia Dortmund, who've been really poor this season in the league. But then in the second leg, Borussia Dortmund won 3-1. Does that matter, Theo, or would you argue the game was over?
I thought they smashed that first leg and they looked very good at the current stadium that they're playing in. I think it's called Olympic Louis Companies. Yeah. Anyway, on April 30th, they're there again. And if they can win 4-0 and build momentum at home, it just makes you wonder how many they could put past Inter. The problem is I see this game going two ways. Yeah. I see this game being very difficult, low scoring, worrying, because Barca haven't been in a while. You know, that little bit more added pressure against a better defensive side. Borussia Dortmund leak goals for fun. Yeah. They're 8th in the Bundesliga. Inter Milan are winning the Italian league and they have arguably the best defence in European football. And they've been to a Champions League final against Man City, where if Lukaku didn't miss an open goal, arguably Inter would have won that game. And Barella, who's one of the most, he's brought Italy to win the Euros. He's taken Inter to Champions League finals. He's beaten one Milan derbies in Champions League semi-finals. I mean, they have experience. You know, that midfield three, with him, Mkhitaryan and Çalhanoğlu, they've been here before.
But talking about the Barcelona team first, Theo, I mean, we've got to point to Rafinha first. He's got 12 goals in this tournament. I mean, only Guirassy, I think, has got 13 goals. Lewandowski's got 11 goals. And that's another point, Theo. Lewandowski is absent, isn't he?
3 weeks, hamstring injury, unlikely for the first, maybe back for the second leg. But we're only predicting the first leg, and it's a massive blow for Barcelona. No matter what, not having Lewandowski, as Thomas Müller, the legend, would call him, it's a massive, massive setback. Luckily, they do have squad depth. They've got Ferran Torres, ex-Man City, of course, but he is scoring goals for fun and domestically. And it's similar to Ousmane Dembele, let's say. He's a finisher up top. He's not as much as a target man.
The most expensive player left in the whole tournament is Yamal, Theo.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's worth, I think, about 180 million. Is he a game changer at this stage?
I think he could be a game changer at the San Siro. Right. I have a feeling that Inter, based off their last match against Bayern Munich, they're going to make this so difficult. And last match, having the San Siro as the second leg fixture, gave them the I would say that extra 1% over Bayern Munich. And it's happened again against Barcelona.
Yes.
Inter have been blessed. This is a very young Spanish team. It's not like, when England played Spain in the Euros final, a lot of people say, oh, look, they got the experience. Lamine Yamal won, all these Barcelona players that played in the Spanish national team, they've got that experience at Latin. There's only a few players there. If you actually look into it, okay, Dani Olmo, Lamine Yamal, there is crossovers, but it's not the full team. And let me add, average age, Inter versus Barca, it's massively different. Yeah. People say boys against men. It could be like that. This could be one of those ugly semi-finals where Inter They make it so difficult that Barcelona gets so wound up that it just ends a draw. Or Barca score early and the deadlock could open. This could be dominance like the Dortmund first leg. I don't know which one it will go.
Certainly you look at FC Barcelona's home record, last 13 games, won 10 and drawn 3. So if you're Inter Milan, do you think, let's turn up here and kill off the game?
Yeah, Hansi
Flick.
A
1-0, that's all that we want.
Hansi Flick will be relying on his attacking prowess. Rafinha, I mean, in big games he turns up. Only a few days ago, we were looking back to the same day a few years back, where before, in 1 week, he went from Leeds to Barcelona. But just before that, he saved Leeds at Brentford and kept them up in the Premier League. That was an iconic day. Rafinha dropped a masterclass and scored. We can't forget that. And now he's going for a Ballon d'Or.
It's incredible, Theo. He could get the Golden Boot. But then let's talk about Lautaro Martinez, Theo. He's got 8 goals in this tournament. He scored in the last 5 Champions League games. He's another match winner.
He's brilliant. But what will be a massive blow for him? Can he do it without his striking partner, his partner in crime, Marcus Thuram, who's also got an injury and is likely not to be played in this first leg.
So long as they don't get blown away in Spain, they could easily come back to Italy and win this one.
We can't forget that they made the Champions League final in 22-23. Yeah. And in that game, I've already said it, but they actually, at times, proved that they could have beaten Man City. And we're talking about prime Man City. So I would not write Inter off against against anybody under Simone Inzaghi, who's a very disciplined, defensive-minded manager. And by the way, he's the only defensive-minded manager left in this tournament. Hansi Flick will be going for this first leg. Arteta will be going all out to score against PSG. Luis Enrique plays free-flowing attacking football too. This is the only team that stands out to me with a difference in tactics. And I don't think any team wants to play Inter. I just think they'd rather all play in the other team.
Well, Theo, I would slightly disagree with that, because you look back at the quarterfinals. Who has the best defensive record there by miles? Arsenal.
Yeah.
1 goal conceded against Real Madrid in 3 hours. Nobody comes close to that. So I would say that in some ways, Arsenal have got the most expensive squad and the most complete and balanced squad.
Inter have a formidable defence too, though. They've only conceded 5 goals across 12 of their last Champions League matches. I know that Arsenal haven't conceded more than 1 goal in the last 9, but this is something exciting about Inter too. It's exciting how good they are defensively, because it's going to make this game difficult. Can the youth of Barcelona break it down? That is the real question. I think modern day fullbacks like Balde are excellent, and if he's back, that could really flip this tie. But Pedri and Frankie de Jong dad running the midfield, it's a top squad.
We know that Barcelona can score goals. I think they average 2.5 to 3 goals every game this season. So their game plan has got to be to go out and win 3-1 on their home turf. Inter Milan, interestingly, they lost today in the Italian league, and so they are joint with Napoli. So they've got a domestic tussle on their hands. Now, so have Barcelona, but to a lesser extent.
I don't think that matters, Dad. You've got United and Tottenham who are about to play in Europa League final, and they're almost in relegation spots in the Premier League.
I tell you why it matters, because today Arsenal could take off Saka, could take off Martinelli, could take off key players early. Because
Good point.
We're going to finish second or third. We're going to get to the Champions League. PSG have won the league by an absolute mile.
But we're talking about Barca and Inter, Dad.
We are, and both of those teams are still in a domestic fight, and Inter are in an absolute neck and neck fight.
But Barca are too, and this is why people are saying that the winner of Arsenal PSG will win the Champions League.
Yes.
Because Barcelona, 4 days before their big Champions League night, their biggest night since 2015, they have to play a Copa del Rey final against Real Madrid, Carlo Ancelotti's last match, against their bitter rivals, against the team that they've actually now set a record against, beating twice, in the Supercopa, in La Liga. Now they're going to have to do it again. 4 days before their Champions League first leg. Like, oh my God, what if Real Madrid injure one of their best players? Who are they going to play? Are they going to play a second team in the Copa del Rey? And that's going to knock their confidence, their focus. I see Inter coming away with something here. I have a weird feeling they're going to come away with something. I'm going to be boring, but you've got to consider a 1-1 draw, full-time, first leg outcome. I'm sorry, I just have to say.
That is very brave. The bookies are saying that Inter are the sort of 4th place team of the last 4. They are saying they're likely to go out. Of course, they've got the least valuable of all the squads. It doesn't always count for everything, because I think last year, of course, Borussia Dortmund got all the way to the final. I just think this is going to be a close game. Over 3 hours, it's going to go down to 1 goal margin. This is going to be Barcelona 2, Inter Milan 1.
Wow. All to play for at the San Siro, just like the Bayern Munich game. That will be interesting. I might have to go for the second leg. It might be unbelievable. But that is it. We've predicted both rounds. I don't want to just hear from us. I want your opinion. Get down in the comments now. Give me 2 scores. And thank you for subscribing to help us get to 150k on the second channel. That's unbelievable. Let's go for 200k now. The Champions League has never been better. The Final Four has never been more exciting. I genuinely don't think we've done a predictions where I'm more thinking about it every day. During Easter, I love Easter, and the family's back together and you're out there with your friends, but the main topic on everybody's lips is Champions League. So let's break a like record, because it's never been better, has it, Dad?
It really hasn't, Theo.
Cheers.
Everyone, like and subscribe. Bring it on.